A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew chapter 12 verses 14 to 21. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. He replied, "Is there a person here who, finding one of your lambs fallen into a ravine, wouldn't, even though it was a Sabbath, pull it out? Surely kindness to people is as legal as kindness to animals." Then he said to the man, "Hold out your hand." He held it out, and it was healed. The Pharisees walked out furious, sputtering about how they were going to ruin Jesus. Jesus, knowing they were out to get him, moved on. A lot of people followed him, and he healed them all. He also cautioned them to keep it quiet, following guidelines set down by Isaiah. "Look well at my hand-picked servant. I love him so much. Take such delight in him. I have placed my spirit on him. He will decree justice to the nations. But he won't yell, won't raise his voice. There will be no commotion in the streets. He won't walk over anyone's feelings, won't push you into a corner. Before you know it, his justice will triumph. The mere sound of his name will signal hope, even among far-off unbelievers." The Gospel of the Lord. Reflections on the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 12 verses 14 to 21. Jesus is becoming a figure of controversy and is seen as a severe threat to the religious authorities. Matthew is presenting a series of confrontations that the religious leaders pick up with Jesus. Yesterday, he was accused by the Pharisees of condoning the breaking of the Sabbath. Far from apologizing, Jesus came in defense of his disciples and gave the all-important teaching that sacrifices and liturgy without mercy and compassion are meaningless. In today's passage, Matthew reports the healing of a physically handicapped man on the Sabbath day. Again, something that was not lawful. Healing was the job of a doctor, and a Jew could not practice his profession on the day of Sabbath. But the Lord chooses the most appropriate day to bring healing to a man, the day of the Lord. The journey towards the cross begins from this moment. The Pharisees are plotting to kill him, and Jesus is fully aware of their movements. Therefore, he withdraws from the public gaze. Does the experience of Jesus ring familiar to us in our life, in the community, in the church? It is often said the biggest threat to the church is nothing from outside but from within. The opposition from the Pharisees against Jesus was a result of their jealousy and pride. They could not appreciate someone who does not belong to their social status or circles, someone with no recognized academic qualifications, now dares to question their age-old traditions and customs. In our church circles, we could find similar circumstances even today. In our efforts to uphold the traditions and customs, we often forget the Beatitudes of Jesus, the commandments of love, mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. Liturgy without charity is a sin. People who dare to raise questions are often labeled as rebels in the community, as it happens with Jesus. Today's gospel challenges the leaders of the church, as well as every Christian, to be more open and pay attention to the voices of the people of God. It also challenges us to stand for life, liberation, and justice. If we tend to avoid conflict, look at Jesus and learn how to fight for justice. it matters. If we tend to pick up a fight, look at Jesus and learn when to withdraw. Jesus is leading us to justice without war. We follow him in the fight that destroys injustice without destroying anyone. That is the future Jesus is leading us to, guided by the Holy Spirit. We are called to live and proclaim the gospel without compromise, but of course without violence, arrogance, or bullying. The mark of a disciple of Jesus is patience and understanding towards all.